Shikigeki is one of the slowest shooters in the bullet class. However, by default, her bullets go through targets, and so you can hit. If they're clustered together, you can hit a lot of people with one shot. Unfortunately, her bullets are not exceptionally strong. They're just, normal strength, I guess. However, if you can upgrade her to level 6, she gains the ability to shoot 3 in a little spread shot. So, if in other difficulty settings, if you have Shikigeki on your team and you get her to level 6, she can make a pretty decent cover fire addition. You don't want to probably use her as your main bullet unit because she's kind of a slow walker. Shikigeki was actually a pretty funny character for those of you that haven't actually played Phantasmagoria Flower View. She was the final boss, and she was surprisingly apathetic towards the flower incident that was going on, particularly because she's seen it so many times because she's an immortal judge. She is the judge of paradise. That's what Yamazanadu means. It's actually her rank, not her name. She basically ignores the whole incident, just lets it play itself out, as she explains to whoever you're playing as. It happens every 60 years, just ignore it and it'll go away, more or less. What makes her funny is her interactions with everybody, with whoever you're playing as. If you're playing as Yuka, she complains that Yuka is not very mature and responsible for someone who has lived as long as her, Yuka being one of the handful of ancient aged demons out in the series. Additionally, she's also not pleased with how aggressive Yuka is to random people. Yuka claims she's just playing and it shouldn't be a big deal, but Shigeki's a stickler like that. For Marissa, she threatens to cut Marissa's tongue out because Marissa lies too often, and almost lost a book there to a Marissa and snuck by. Marissas are insanely the most powerful unit in the game as far as raw attack power goes. The only drawback with them is that they have god-awful defensive capabilities, so it's very easy to kill these things if you can just mob them enough. Use a change. As you can see, they go like flies, and as I mentioned before, they do not attack at all. They just go straight for the bookcase, which means it's a free kill. I really want to upgrade my eyes again because they are kind of weak, so nothing I can really do at the moment. I don't have the money. Yuyikos have an interesting power in this, which are at the top being killed right now. They can possess enemies that they hit and sort of turn them into cannon fodder for your side instead. I'm gonna lose all of my Ayas right here in this next wave, which is a horde of Mokos. Moko was the extra boss from Imperishable Night. She was another immortal character and one of the few like normal humans in the Toho world as well. But I'm gonna lose all of them here, and that's why. Their level 1 ability is they may explode when you kill them, like that. Does a shitload of damage. And as you can see, I pretty much lost all of my Ayas from that, even though I had the advantage on them. I hate them. However, Mokos are really easy to kill because they have terrible defensive capability. Their HP is fairly strong, and they hit fairly hard, but it seems like their main purpose is to explode. If you upgrade Mei Ling to level 6, she also gains the ability to explode, which actually is far more worthwhile in my opinion. Mei Ling is a very functional unit in general. Arens are actually, which I'm slaughtering up there in the top right, are surprisingly weak in this game. They're not exceptionally strong offensively, and they're very weak defensively, but they have really high HP, and they have the special ability to heal nearby units. Yukari right here are the only enemies that can actually bypass terrain, and as you can see, this causes a little bit of trouble when they back up onto terrain where you can't reach them. And this time I lost all my Yukas because I lost the advantage there. Flying units are very slow in general, with the exception of Aya. There's not much you can really do about them. However, they do sort of act as artillery. They're all kind of slow to attack with the exception of Aya, who has the straightforward little tornado gust. All the others generally lob like a bomb up in the air, and then it slowly drops down and explodes. All flying units have an area attack, and when you upgrade them as you upgrade them, the area affected gets higher. Gets wider, larger, I should say. And there we go. That right there was an example of Kamachi's powers in effect. The one giant Kaneko died way too quick compared to the other one. And more Yukaris, and we got some Ayas coming up from the north. I think I haven't quite mentioned it yet, but because I'm not going to be using it here. But right underneath under my money are spell cards I can use to further fortify the little stack of bookcases I've been guarding. The red one will chop the HP in half for all enemies on the screen, all enemies that have been spawned. And they don't necessarily have to be on the screen; they just have to have spawned. The blue one greatly reduces the respawn time for my units. The green one increases my movement speed and my attack speed. The yellow one seals off the bookcase so that no books can be taken from it. And the gold one next to that makes all my units invincible. Everything except for the red one lasts for 15 seconds. But it removes any score modifying bonus. So, if you're playing for a score, you can't use them, but if you're just trying to complete the game, feel free. By all means, that's what they're there for. I've encountered those before. Since I'd encountered them before, I might as well just say Yomus are a unit I find particularly interesting, because they have a terrible normal movement speed, but once they start actually attacking, their movement speed shoots up to a insanely high 24, which is the highest of anything. Vermilias and Flanders, as they upgrade, gain the ability to explode into little bats, as you can see there, which can continue fighting for them and are equally capable of stealing books. And as you can also see here, the extra little dolls in the top right that are following a couple yuccas, those are medicines. When medicine reaches level 6, they begin to spawn with 2 dolls. They do melee type damage, and it's actually kind of interesting because this lets you sort of bolster your troop numbers quicker for not effective combat, but just extra meat shielding, I guess. The dolls do melee damage, which can interfere with advancing melee attackers, so if you had to use them against a horde of melee people, your medicines might not get completely slaughtered. They'll probably still will be, but it'll take longer. Alice's by default can do this, but as they upgrade, they end up spawning more. At level 3, they'll spawn with 4 dolls instead of 2, and at level 6, they'll spawn with 6. And her dolls can do other kinds of attack power, including bullet and flight. And this is the last wave is always, at midnight, is always Giant Marissas, and I've wiped those out pretty quickly. And I didn't mean to blaze through my final score. You're going to have to go back and pause that if you really want to see it. And that's the end. I've beaten the game. You beat the game enough times, just beat the game like 6 times to unlock on any difficulty to unlock all the teams and the create your own team mode. There's also a lot of other little extra modes you can play as, such as the 100,000 coin mode, boss rush mode, and then there's a fun little tower defense mode, which I might show off if you want to see it enough times. I highly recommend playing this game. Go buy it. You can still get this off of Melon Books and places like that. Give Tesla the money. They deserve it. It's a very fun game. And this is Patchcon Defend the Library. The end. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. I'm GTF. Phantasmagoria!